everybody. Today we are back with Brandy of Brandygirl Astrology, and we are going to be discussing the astrology surrounding the death of Meredith Kercher. And on November 2nd of 2007, this is when she was found. This might be more commonly known here in the US as the Amanda Knox case, because she was convicted and then acquitted of the death of Meredith Kercher. That kind of bothers me. I was just telling Brandy when we weren't recording, that kind of bothers me that it's known more here, or it seems to be known more here as the Amanda Knox case than it is Meredith Kercher, and she's the victim here. So that I was trying to figure out how I wanted to word all of that. Yeah. We're going to look at this. This is a case that I have to say, even though, and you were talking about this with me too, Brandy, that neither one of us really have an opinion on this case. This case was massive. I mean, it was all over the news in 2007, 2008, 2009, even into, 2015 when the Italian High Court finally completely shut the case down, on Knox's end, she acquitted. This is over with. We're not doing this anymore. Yeah, I mean, it was, but this is one case that even though it was in the public eye the way that it was, I never really formed any kind of opinion either way about it. And I mean, I'm a Sagittarius. I have lots of opinions.
I know, right? Like, me neither. Geminis are so opinionated. And we were talking about this, and I'm like, how do we not have an opinion? So we got to get an opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, it might sound silly to people watching this, why the fuck are y'all even doing this? Because she was acquitted of this, as was, I don't really know if he was her boyfriend at the time or just a friend she fucked. I don't know. It's none of my business. But he was also acquitted for it as well. What was his name? Solcito. I'm shit at pronouncing things, so forgive me if I pronounce anybody's anything wrong.
We mean no disrespect. We're doing the best we can.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, we're doing that. I guess I don't know. There's some reason I felt compelled to do this particular case, wanting to look at it from a forensic astrology lens. Take a look, see what it looks like. Before we get into this though, just a couple of quick housekeeping things. I wanted to mention that my transit course, transit, solar arcs, secondary progressions, return charts, annual profections, all that, a journey through time. It starts on September 24th of 2024. For anybody interested, I will put the link below where you can check it out further or jump in on the course, whatever you want to do. And Brandy, if you wanted to throw anything out there that you're doing.
I would love to. First, I would love to say, go sign up for Ellie's course. Amazing. I've gotten to see the transformation of her students. Ellie, amazing teacher. Go sign up. Just sign up. Yeah. So my business, interestingly, is shifting a little bit. While I still offer readings, I am also focusing on mentorships for tarot readers or anyone in the metaphysical business needing to pilot practice readings and get the confidence to charge for readings and get into business. So that's my new thing. You can find it on my website.
And I can attest that Brandy, her students, were very good, very, very good. Very, very good. They've done some readings for me. I won't mention who and all that, but very, very good. Both times.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah. You should be proud. Your student should be proud. Or those you're mentoring, I guess I could say, should be proud. Yes.
Yes. Getting the future readers out there, because it's the most amazing service you can provide, just helping people and having fun while doing it.
Absolutely. Passing that along. And another thing, you got a nasty little comment.
Oh gosh, I got a nasty comment on my channel. Now, I haven't posted any. I've been coming and I've been hanging out at Ellie's house, so to speak. I've been coming on her channel and her little episode. I don't mean little. Her forensic astrology episodes. Gemini. I misspeak.
I know what you mean.
But on my channel, we still have some past episodes archived there that you can watch. And nasty comment about kind of how me and Ellie
laugh,
communicate, laugh, banter back and forth. we are on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. Okay. A lot of comedians, I'm not saying we're comedians, but a lot of comedians have Gemini Sag stuff going on. We mean no disrespect to victims. Sometimes Ellie just makes me laugh. Sometimes I make Ellie laugh. It has nothing to do with the crime. It has nothing to do with the victims. Like our hearts are in the right place. That's just what I want to say. Like, be cool.
That's very well said. Our hearts are in the right place. If we're laughing, it is absolutely not at and I mean I'm laughing right now. I laugh. I just laugh. I laugh. I'm somebody just kind of
I nervous laugh, I funny laugh, I find humor, not in crime, but in like just throughout life. And you know, we grew up on Seinfeld. Like there's just awkward things that we laugh at sometimes.
Well, in life, life is hard and life can be very dark and bleak. And if you can't, not that you need to laugh at the darkness or the bleakness, but if you can't laugh amongst all of that, like you will be fucking miserable. Like fucking miserable. Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, we need, like, this stuff's dark. Crime is dark.
Yes.
I got to be able to laugh at Ellie's thumbs up in a video that pops up from time to time. If you don't know what that is, go watch some past episodes. It's
the phantom of the MacBook.
Yes. I gotta laugh if I trip up on a word. I gotta laugh if Ellie's voice cuts out. I don't know. Like, we just have to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're somebody who this, we mean no offense. If it offends you or you don't like it, then perhaps we aren't the people you should be.
No, and you should move on. I mean, yeah, I just deleted the comment. Like, I'm not gonna engage it, I'm gonna address it so everyone understands, but I'm just gonna delete the comment. So it's not gonna, don't waste your time, just move on. I hope you find the right forensic astrologers and maybe you will.
Yeah, hopefully you do. With that said, with the housekeeping part out of the way.
Ooh, I feel like house is clean now.
Should we share the chart or should I took a bunch of fucking notes. Do I need to go into more of a backstory about this? Do you think is that
maybe just a quick recap? Because I know a lot of people know who Amanda Knox is. I know Meredith, they know, but kind of maybe recap a series of events, possibly.
Okay. So Kercher was a British exchange student from the University of Leeds. And she was living in, the way that I understand it, they were in they call it flats, but it was on the second story. It was her, Knox, and two Italian women who lived together, who roomed together. And then there were like 4 men that lived below them that roomed together. And this matters. The 4 men thing matters because one of the people that was convicted of her death was Rudy. I'm gonna fuck this name, Guede or Gude, or I'm not totally sure how to pronounce it. But he was friendly with the guys in the downstairs in the first floor apartment. And that's how he met Knox and Kercher. That's how he met those two. I guess he was over there downstairs. They met. I don't know the exact sequence of events, but that's how they knew one another.
Their neighbor.
They were well, he was friends with their neighbors anyway.
Friends. Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So he was kind of a neighbor, but not really. Also, shouldn't laugh about this. Did weird things at the neighbor's house. Like falling asleep. Sorry, after taking a shit. I'm sorry. That's so strange.
That's where we laugh. No, that is an example. We are not laughing at the crime, but taking a shit on the toilet and then falling asleep. It's funny. Like
it is. And this actually matters. This matters. I'm not just bringing this up out of nowhere because at the crime scene, then they actually found like shit unflushed in a toilet, which is it kind of alludes to this guy. Well, there are, other things too, like there were other things, but that, I'm sorry, it's just such a bizarre little
it's weird, and you have to be like, oh my god, like kind of a little giggle there because you're like, really? Like,
it's like, how do
who does that?
how does somebody take a shit and fall asleep? Like, my thought is you got to be like fucked up or like,
You gotta be drunk or right or
yeah.
inebriated. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't laugh at that, but it is like, what?
Like we were questioning, why don't you just finish and then go to bed, right?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you doing? And this isn't even your house. It's not even your house.
It's a whole other conversation of etiquette. Like,
yeah, it really is. Okay, I'm gonna stop because like there's so many questions that I have there. Like
that should be a whole other episode that we
Seriously.
pull astrology on. Yeah.
Yeah, why does this guy do this? Okay, well, anyway, so November 1st is the last time Kercher was seen alive. She'd been out with her friends. Last time she was seen by a friend was 8:45 p.m. on November 1st of 2007. Then also the night of November 1st, Amanda Knox and her, I'll just say friend because I don't know if it was her boyfriend or not. I think it's Rafael Solicito, probably not pronouncing that right. They were, I guess, at his house, getting high, watching movies, fucking each other, whatever, having a good time, right? They were just enjoying life. That's what it sounds like. They were just living life. So she wasn't at the house with Kercher. Neither were the other roommates, from what I understand. So nobody was there with her. She was there by herself. November 2nd in the morning, Knox goes home to take a shower. She found the front door open, though, when she went to go take a shower, go back home to take a shower. She found the front door open. She found drops of blood in the bathroom, and she found Kercher's door was locked. But she figured, because it was the morning, she figured maybe she was still just asleep, right? And that seems pretty normal. Like, and I guess it wasn't enough blood to really be alarming. That's what I understand. Like, I don't know if I found drops of blood in a female's bathroom, I might think they got their period. I wouldn't think if it was just a little bit, I wouldn't think that much of it really. So then she takes a shower, goes back to the guy's house. Then they both come back. I'm not really sure whatever. They go back and forth. They both come back, and he noticed that there was a broken window in one of the roommates' rooms, and was alarmed by this because when they knocked on Kercher's door, she wasn't responding. Somebody calls, I can't remember who calls the police. Somebody calls the police at 12:51. I actually think somebody I think called their mother. There are a lot of details to this, so if I'm fucking some of this up, forgive me. But somebody calls a mom first. I want to say it was her calling her mom, and her mom was like, call the police or whatever. Call the police at 12:51 p.m. And then somebody like actually breaks the door down. I guess they're like really concerned, breaks her door down at 1:15 p.m. Finds her dead. She had been stabbed to death, and I also believe there was a sexual assault, or indications of that. I think that's good enough.
Yeah, that's the background.
Okay.
Thank you, Ellie.
Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, let me see, which one was it? Okay, so this is I'll make it bigger. Okay, this is the last scene chart for 8:45 p.m. on November 1st, 2007. Yeah.
Ooh, dang, that Mars in Cancer.
Yeah.
Right on the ascendant, right on the victim. Ugly Mars is what we were calling it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's not, I mean,
that's what I think you said nasty, and I was like, yeah, that's really ugly. Yeah, nasty, ugly Mars.
It is, it's just right there. I mean, they're both at 11 degrees. Bam, like
bam. Like right there. Like it is on her.
And it's a Mars that, like, it's in fall. And while you may not, like, in a natal chart, I may not necessarily think about it that, in a more challenging way.
It doesn't have to be ugly or nasty in a natal chart, but forensically speaking,
or in horary, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not it doesn't function well.
As we say, it's not a good testimony of
Yeah.
things being okay. Yeah. And it's also trining Uranus, and so there's something about, yeah, trine is like a positive aspect, right? But there's something about Mars in a fall and Uranus like coming together with ease, and
They get on well. But
they're
that
working together.
they're working together. That doesn't mean they're working towards anything good, but they're working
Yes.
together.
Because you can work with someone in a crime and you and this other crime mate are working well together, but you're not producing a good result, right? And
Exactly.
so, yeah, this is intense.
Yeah, it is. Mhm. Yes, it is. Actually, speaking of that, since do you want to take there was a fixed star. I mean, and this really stands out because this fucking fixed star is like right at 11 degrees, 13 minutes of Cancer, like right where that Mars is. It's right there.
Right where it is. Yeah. I mean, to the degree, to the minute.
Yeah.
It's hunting, besieging towns, the revenge of princes, trouble, disgrace, sickness, loss of fortune, affliction, danger to knees.
Mhm. Yeah. And this is coming right to her. Like right to her.
Yeah, this is right on her. It's you can't escape it.
It's unsettled.
Now she is actually going to be ruled by the moon because it's a Cancer rising chart. We're talking about Mars being right there, but her planet ruler is the moon in Leo in the second house.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's at home, right? But
or
there's something, or go ahead.
Or she's either at home or she's like on her way. I want to say it was very close to her.
Oh
home.
yeah, at the last scene. Yeah. But found at home. And gosh, her planet being in the second house just makes me feel some kind of abduction or someone taking possession.
Or taking something, wanting to take something from her, or
Yeah.
There is with that moon, there was something.
There's a fixed star, right? It's 8 degrees, 35 minutes. I mean, it's 8 degrees though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you want me to roll with it?
Do that and then I'll do something else after. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't want to take over. Military preferment, blindness, eye trouble, shipwreck, mass murder, horrors, self-willed, uncooperative.
Horrors. It makes me wonder, seeing the mass murder thing. It makes me wonder, because were more women that lived in that apartment. If, I don't know, if more of them had been there, if maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Or was the plan for it to be more of a mass murder event?
Could have been.
And she's the only one home.
Could have been. It's possible.
Scary.
It is scary. Then there's also this thing in the book, nebulous cluster, and the first deacon of Leo. Death by fire. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Death by fever, fire, hanging, beheading, or violent catastrophe, ruin, disgrace, wounds, hurts to face, eye troubles, blindness, imprisonment, and then great changes in society. And it's unfortunate for the moon. So it's some kind of interesting thing to throw in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what about the catalyst or perpetrator, seventh house, Capricorn?
So we're gonna look at Saturn, right, and see who's involved, right? And Saturn's right there in Virgo in the third house, where you find neighbors, people who live close by.
I noticed
There's
that.
even something about like a conversation or communication element. Saturn being more of a restrictive planet or reserved. I just feel like there's some details here. There's like location, there's like neighbors, there's someone close by. But is there an element of I've been trying to talk to you and you're not reciprocating?
Could be.
You know,
Could be. I could see that. I could see that being the case. Yeah.
right there by the South Node kind of feels eerie too. I mean, like a South Node can be like kind of like an undoing
Yeah.
of sorts or going the wrong direction for sure.
Yeah. So so seeing the perpetrator right there by it seems not good. Not good.
No, and I'm gonna tell you something else that's creepy about this is that Pluto in the sixth house. I mean, I know we're looking at not a random planet, but we're not looking at the ruler of the victim. We're not looking at the ruler of the perpetrator, but we see Pluto, which is an intense planet in the sixth house. Like when I see that in a crime chart, I'm like, this person's being stalked as well, like being watched.
And there's something about Scorpio intercepted here that also
Mm.
that you know
That forms like a grand trine with Uranus Mars too. It's like there's a lot. This is a pretty like
it's
active crime chart.
active, creepy, and not
It's a
laughing
little.
at the, just laughing at the eeriness of it, not the actual stuff that's happening that happened.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's yeah. I want to say there was one around Saturn too. I think there was anyway, unless I made that up in my head, which is also possible. Um,
So
let me,
Saturn 6 degrees Virgo. There's a 7 degrees Virgo in 27 minutes.
yeah,
That's less than a degree. So prospectors of gold and silver, or those who are ministers of money, burning to death in own house.
yeah,
Fortunate for Saturn, though, which is kind of
that's
odd.
amazing. I didn't notice that part. That is interesting.
If it's fortunate, we've seen that before where there's like fortunate planets and these fixed stars when either people get away with something or they don't quite, I don't know, there's still
Well,
something hidden about it or
I'll say this: his sentence, who that the guy who it probably was, his sentence seemed very 16 years. That ended up being what it was. 16. He's out now.
yeah, you'll find that in other countries that of course I don't know exactly what he was convicted of. I don't have that. But you'll find that the penalties for death or murder are different than the US.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it probably is very American of me to be like, that doesn't seem long enough. But it just, from what I'm used to, this, I don't think this would have gotten 16 years here, I guess is my.
No, maybe only if it was a plea and there wasn't enough evidence, possibly.
There was something that he did to get it knocked down. It had to do with the fact that he what the hell was it? Like a speed. Now I want to look it up. It was like something about a speedy. Let me see. I'm looking to look at my phone, figure out what it is. Fast track trial.
Oh, okay. So he agreed if we do this, then I'll take a lighter sentence.
Well, I guess they do that there when somebody does a fast track trial. That's what I understand anyway. So it did knock down some of the time.
Like a discount.
Kind of, yes. Kind of.
Okay.
Because this event happens and then that guy, Rudy Gude or however it's pronounced, he takes off to Germany. So it's like a couple days afterwards. He's fucking gone. I mean,
it's tough, and if you look at the 8th house of death in this chart, like Neptune's there, which always likes to fog things up. It's not a planet of clarity, right? And so It just shows, hey, there's going to be questions about this and things that we're just not going to know.
Yeah, and Neptune being the modern ruler of this midheaven, it feels even more like, you know, being the public, that we're how the public receives this, right? Law enforcement, all this. There's something, yeah, fogged or fucky with how this is how this comes about. For
I will
sure.
say this, kind of going back. Yes, yes, yeah. But like going back to the perpetrator being Saturn. I mean, if there were multiple people involved in this death, I
You see,
really would expect to see Gemini, Libra, maybe Pisces, or at least that planet sitting in one of those signs. Like Saturn's kind of tends to be a loner. That I
yes.
mean, you know, like I'm the leader, I'm authority.
Yeah.
It's not usually like a team player.
And it is, I mean, it is in mutable Virgo, right?
It is mutable.
But it's not, when I think of like, it's like the most fixed of the mutables.
Exactly. It's not as mutable as the other mutables, right? It's Virgo's usually like, I can do this job on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, it has a more fixed quality to it.
Yeah.
So I don't automatically think of it as being as dual as like Pisces and Gemini and even Sagittarius. Um, or you know, I would expect to see like all the things that you mentioned, but even like seeing like multiple planets in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that here either.
Mm-mm. I don't. And, you know, just if I'm going to start to form an opinion just based on this chart, I'm like, I don't see more than one person involved here. And it just seems very like one person responsible, but
It does. And you know, even though Mars is in Cancer here, it's still Mars. And that is very masculine.
Mhm.
Yeah, to me this feels like man.
Yeah,
Um,
I sense that too. I sense that too.
even if there's something wonky about it, this is man. Like, yeah.
It is. And with, you know, the Saturn being in the third and bringing up like the conversation aspect is like, is this someone who has been trying to talk with her? But then if you look at the fourth house of endings, you got Venus in a fall there too, which it to me is like, okay, there's something about either trying to have a relationship or trying to do something, and
Not
it's
working.
not going in his favor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. You know what's interesting? You want to move on to the next chart?
Sure.
Okay. Check this. We got this little Mercury and we got Mercury retrograde here. Mercury retrograde in Libra, conjunct the fixed star, one of the like the one really good fixed star along Via Combusta. Which is kind of interesting, both at 23 Libra. But check this out. Door is forced open. This is when they find her dead. It's direct.
Interesting.
It is. So
Wow. That makes sense. I mean, as far as timing of events, like when Mercury goes direct is when
yeah. Yeah.
information is there, right?
Yeah. And it can be very, very intense. I mean, sometimes the stationing and then the right before it changes to retrograde, right before it changes to direct can be incredibly intense, sometimes even more intense than the actual retrograde period.
Yes, not to sidetrack, but we just went through Mercury going direct like a week ago.
Mhm.
And that damn station was worse than the 3 weeks. At least for me. I don't know about you guys,
Yeah.
but that station made me insane over here. Like with the, you know, websites not working,
Yes.
computer issues. Like I was, so yes, I just wanted to agree with that statement.
But it is, I was looking at that and I was like, wait, that little fucker turned direct at some point in this period of like what 15 hours or something, turns direct. Is interesting.
Jeez.
So in this one now this is also interesting. In this chart, we have 4 things in the 7th house.
Mm-hmm.
There were 4 people that ended up being accused of this, right? There was, Amanda Knox, Rudy, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name again. Solicito, her boyfriend, and then there was another guy. What was his name? Lam
Is he the one? Was he like just
Lamumba.
not ever convicted?
Lamumba. Yeah, he I think that's who Amanda Knox worked with at the bar that she worked at, I think. Am I right about that?
Sounds familiar.
Somebody
No.
worked with him. Might have been Kercher. Somebody worked with him. And and it was originally those 3 without Rudy being involved, and then they found his DNA and oh, I guess I'm getting this right because the Phantom Thumbs Up is here to play. Okay. And then Lamumba he's dismissed from this. But there were 4 people, and I just think it's interesting we have 4 things here.
And forensic astrology tends to show up that way, doesn't it? I am just remembering, wasn't the whole reason Knox and her quote boyfriend, were they thinking this was a sex thing gone wrong?
Or that it was either that or that it was something about Kercher being perceived as like goody two shoes or a good girl. I don't know whatever the fuck that means. And them doing something because of that. Though this I think was based on to a certain extent on a book that somebody wrote about the case.
This is yeah. This
So
is
it
familiar.
formed this public opinion, and like I don't think much of it was factual.
That's such a Mars thing too, to show up on a chart, right? Like, oh, this is a sex thing, or yeah, okay.
And there was evidence, I believe, that she was sexually assaulted. That Kercher was sexually assaulted, but there wasn't any evidence that Knox and her boyfriend had anything to do with it. In fact, if anything, this case is kind of one of these cases, since they're the ones that found her. It's kind of this case that makes you think, God, do I want to call in something?
Right. If I'm going to get penalized, then it's going to be like, oh, it must have been you because you found them. That's scary.
That's kind of this case almost is like a cautionary, like, it feels
and
like.
I mean, they are the ones who like bust down the door trying to find her. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how killers think. I don't want to pretend I do, but I just would think they would just act like they don't know anything. Like, I wouldn't think they would try to force the door open if they knew.
Yeah. It's very, yeah.
So we got the 4 accused initially.
Yeah.
In the 7th house.
We have the moon, which was the ruler, which was Kercher in the first chart in the 7th this time. Oh, and then in this chart, the traditional ruler Saturn is also in the 7th.
I'm trying to think. So the crime happens in 07. How long did Knox actually serve before she was acquitted?
Okay, so she
was, if it was 6 or 7 years.
She was released. Okay, she was released in 2011. I think I have the actual date written down. Maybe.
I have my laptop here. I could probably.
No, I don't think I do. Okay, so she was originally sentenced to 26 years. In 2011, she and her boyfriend, or she and her friend, were acquitted. She came back to the U.S. Don't blame her. Would have been on the first fucking plane home.
Right.
On March 27th of 2015, that's when Italy's highest court ruled they were innocent, which completely shut the case down. Like, no more of this. No more.
When was that? 2019?
2015.
2015. And when was the trial? 2011? Look at me. I'm all over it. I can't.
In 2008. In 2008.
Okay, so it was 7 years before she was officially like, we're done.
Yeah.
I wondered that because, and I'll tell you why, because Venus here is like traditionally female, right? And so when I'm looking at the 4 initial suspects, I would have to think Amanda Knox is Venus here.
Yeah.
If you notice in 7 degrees or 6 degrees in some odd minutes, Venus is going to change signs.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking that's got to be like 7 years between like being like in this and being officially done. It's almost, it's very literal.
And
in
even
this.
like, and I know she went home, she came home in 2011, but Venus going into Libra would be at home or
Yeah, it's changing for the better because Venus is in a fall.
Mhm.
Changing into Libra, it gets its power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is. It is. And we look at that in horary sometimes when you're using horary astrology, like to answer questions or to find lost objects or to determine timing. We look at, well, how much longer is this planet in a sign? Okay, 7 degrees. Is this years? Is this what? Okay, it's going to a new sign that's at home. This is better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it's definitely applying in this chart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This kind of shows also just like the sun towards the top, right? In the 9th house. Very visible. The moon is above, above the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
More, everything's just more out in the open here. So
Yeah.
it makes this to be found a
The
time.
visibility factor for sure. Yeah. The luminaries are top of the chart.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got Neptune, that foggy planet, as I like to say, like now in the 1st house, like now kind of in the home section of this chart. Definitely, I think that's such testimony that this is not what it seems or what it was being portrayed. Okay, all 4 of these people are going to be charged. Like Neptune here just to me is like, this isn't right. Like whatever you think happened, this is not what happened here.
Yeah, it's not yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I wonder, in looking at this chart also, with her in the other chart being ruled by Mars, or not Mars, ruled by the, being the moon. If there's something about her being in like the house of like the house of the perpetrator, being why, and I'm not sure how it was in other countries, but why it seemed like it was known more, the case was known more by the perpetrators names, kind of like what I was talking about in the beginning, known more about by that than by her name.
Well, yeah. It's interesting because if we're looking at the rulers from the past chart, yeah, she's the moon, the perpetrator Saturn. Saturn does not like her because Saturn is in detriment in Leo. And so the sign her planet's in, Saturn doesn't like, right? But the sign that perpetrator's in, Virgo, is peregrine to the moon. Like it's not great, it's not bad, it's like just kind of neutral. I feel like there's more weight as far as like the sign she's in, according to the perpetrator. That could be something we're seeing there. But you're right, she's like in the field of the suspects.
Yeah. I mean, even if you were to go by, rulership of this chart, modern traditional rulership
Either way.
chart, yeah, either way, you get her in that house. Like, it's kind of interesting.
In my opinion, this is Brandy's opinion here. Not be taken as fact. If the sights were set on the right suspect or the right scenario of who was involved, I think you would have seen this more of the victim's name being associated with this. The fact that we had so many players and so much controversy of, was this person involved? And then finding out the person, they got acquitted. I think just to be like very frank, the fact that they probably got it wrong.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on the suspects, because some of these suspects, in a sense, not in the same way, but in a way, are victims, right? If we go by at least what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It turned the attention of the case.
Yeah, it did.
The victim to, what was happening with suspects. But yeah, it's odd, because even the astrology is saying, hey, this is not gonna, the name of the victim is going to get washed out by the other side here.
Yeah.
At least as far as media attention.
Yes. Yeah.
And that could be that Mercury retrograde too, right? Mercury's information, it's media. It's like, at the time it happens, it's retrograde, but at the time, she's found, it's direct. So we're going in a different direction as far as information. I mean, I just think.
And there could be like a needing to backtrack, or a needing to, to kind of catch up to what actually, or what maybe actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can we go back to the other chart real fast?
Yep. Mm-hmm. What you see?
I'm just kind of seeing what's playing with the moon, kind of going on that theory, like why is her name so overshadowed? And I don't know that's the right way to say it, but
yeah, I mean,
we do see, if you look at the moon and the sun, they're squared.
They are.
The sun, which is spotlight attention, is in the moon's fall. The moon is in the sun sign. So there is kind of a trading of light going on.
And that sun is intercepted.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know if we've ever looked at that in charts before. Like, why is the attention here or not here? I think we're really seeing it astrologically.
I think we are too. And I don't think it's ever really like, we've never really brought it up, and I've got it, but with this case, it bothers me. Like it really bothers. That might sound silly. It bothers me that it's not her name, at least here in the US, right? That might not be the case everywhere, but here in the US, it's her name is not the one known, and that bothers me.
Her name's not the one known, and I'm trying to say, and I don't mean this disrespectful, I'm just saying this is how it is. Like, we're more familiar with the possible wrongness that Amanda Knox was put through, more than the actual tragedy of what happened to her too. Like, like how many people are like, oh, Amanda Knox, wasn't she on trial for something she may have or may have not done?
Or some people might even be like that she did do, because I've seen people, bring up that, they still think she did it. I don't think she did this at all.
Now that I see the astrology, I do have an opinion. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think she did.
No, I don't either. Let's also bring up real quick. So that Rudy guy he just want to throw this out there. He gets out of prison or whatever in Italy in November of 2021. Did 16 years. In December of 2023, his girlfriend files a complaint against him, a sexual assault complaint.
Was he convicted, or is that still?
Right now, he is. I wrote it down. Sorry, maybe sexual assault wasn't what she claimed. Let me back that up. She claimed that he was physically abusing her.
Okay.
I don't know about the sexual assault, but physically abusing her, still abuse. But
Right.
now he is under a special surveillance program for a year.
So
And this,
there was some sort of conviction
or they're just
um
that part I'm not totally clear about. Maybe they're watching him because of being in prison for, they're keeping an eye on him. This is going on now because this complaint was filed in December of 23 and it's September of
interesting.
24 right now. So yeah.
So we might be seeing a pattern of violence against women.
Yes, we might be. Which is, yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there that is a current thing at the moment.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to mention or notice or anything about?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like these are such interesting charts. Every forensic astrology chart is interesting, but these definitely have a lot going on. There's a lot here. I think we kind of really pulled out, I think, some answers to some questions. Was there more than one person involved? Why isn't her name, the victim's name, associated more with this case? Why is it more about the suspects? So it's kind of interesting. I feel like we were able to see that in the astrology today.
Yeah, it was very in some cases very literal.
Yes.
Very which is
And
always
we didn't speaking of literal, I don't know if we brought this up, I missed it. Mars being on that ascendant in the first chart, Mars rules knives, doesn't it?
yes. Yeah. And violence.
And violence, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of literal, just really literal charts.
Yes. They really they really are. I'm going to stop sharing that. But Brandy, where can you be found?
Thank you. You can find me at brandyburrowastrology.com and Brandy Burrow Astrology social media as well on Facebook and Instagram. And Ellie, where can we find you?
Find me here on YouTube at Saturn Season Astrology, on Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology, and on my website, SaturnSeason.com. Brandy, thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Thank you for having me. I love doing this stuff with you.
I love it too. Thank you for continuing to want to do it and continuing to love it. And all y'all watching this, we'll see you later.